So, hi again. We're live. So, how is everyone doing? So, today, what I'm going to talk about is yes, is that? Yeah. Now I feel better. Uh, hey, Kirtika, good to see you. Okay, today I'm going to talk about uh, a very, very important thing about having difficult conversations and having difficult conversations in context to COVID times. And when I say this last time, my last live video, we covered about managing emotions. All of us are experiencing different sets of emotions, new emotions, and unfortunately, we label a lot of emotions as positive or negative. So, what is important that we just call them emotions and not label them. We just call, how do we manage these emotions? Okay, so having said that, of course, the rhetoric that goes around. Hey, Bhavna, good to see you. Finally, you're joining in. Okay, so the rhetoric that we hear these days is about is we are going through unprecedented times. I can assure you, any day, if you're reading and listening regularly, these are the words that you'll be hearing at least 5 times in a day. Unprecedented times, yes, it is, but practically every day is unprecedented. Now, let's look at what's different these days. Uh, work from home. Work from home. When we say this work from home has come as a mandate and not as a choice, not something that we applied for and we got it and we are excited about it, but we got it. Work. A lot of us actually have started working from office as well. Hi, Omna. So from work from home, we've already into work. Some of us have already worked from office, some of us partially, some of us fully. Then we're talking about all of us are juggling between childcare, elder care, our domestic chores, and our office work. So that juggling is going on. We are going through a set of emotions in terms of what's next for us, both professionally, personally. Another thing, some of us who are staying alone are also going through what is loneliness. Human connect is important for us. We are social beings, and without the human connect, all the screen time, all the Zoom calls, and all the team meetings, the Microsoft Team meetings, and Google Hangouts, and everything is not filling up the gap that we're experiencing these days. The good part is now we are more confident about work from home. We are confident to be able to move into a new arena easily that we've done in the past. We kind of, another good part which has happened because of all the Zoom meetings and work from home is that we kind of humanized our colleagues. We see them with the children running around, with the pets coming from here, and the cooker whistle blowing up in the kitchen, going off on the kitchen. So it's quite of humanized each other. A lot of connects have been built up. Now, in these times, I mean, what do we mean by difficult conversations? What do we mean by setting boundaries? Uh, Difficult conversations, as per definition, I would say, is something that we've been putting off because it evokes a lot of emotions in us. Uh, that's some of it. It also, difficult conversations are also the ones which we anticipate would evoke emotion in the other person. We're not sure of the consequence of the conversation. We're not sure about the direction the conversation will take us. What is the response going to be from the other side? And will I be able to manage the conversation? These is what I call difficult conversations. In times of COVID, setting up personal boundaries becomes one another difficult conversation. We're talking about personal boundaries, we're talking about professional boundaries. A survey which was done a couple of years back 75% of the people, I mean, these are non-COVID times, 75 people who work from home had said that they worked longer hours. Um, and of course, about 44% had said that they are unable to switch themselves off after they have closed their work. And we are talking people who used to work from home. Are these true for you? What all is true for you? So we have to set personal boundaries at home, because I don't want I don't want somebody coming and telling us, okay, lunchtime, just forget it. I've got a Zoom call going on, or okay, I have a craving for tea. Can you make tea right now? Uh, so these and multiple other situations. So how do I set these personal boundaries? So let's look at first uh, how to approach a difficult conversation. So I've got a 4-step process. The first step, which is the most important one, is preparation. How do I prepare for it? Now, preparation is critical. In preparation, I would say, I write down that who do I want to be known as, or what do I want to be after the conversation? What is it that I want from the conversation? So when I write down, I start with my clarity. So when I say who do I want to be, or do I want to be known as or do I want to be perceived as a compassionate person? Do I want to be perceived as somebody who wants to be more professional, look more professional? What is it that I want to be? What are my apprehensions, and what are the possible consequences of all that? So when I write it down within the preparation time, I also, a very, very important aspect is being positive. Now, how do I remain positive? As humans, we have this thing called negativity bias. We catastrophize everything that we try and foresee. So if I'm talking about a conversation that I want to set my boundaries about work timings, I'm already thinking about how my supervisor will not agree to it. So I'm trying to catastrophize the whole thing. How can I remain positive? So very important part of preparation is, apart from what I want to do or what are my apprehensions, is also about perceiving or visualizing a positive outcome. Looking forward that my supervisor has agreed upon my work timings. So if I have that positive outlook, my approach to the entire conversation will be that. But if I've already thought he will not agree, or she will not agree, or she always does this or she does that, so my approach to the entire conversation is very, very defensive rather than collaborative. So it's important, part of the preparation is looking at it as positive. Second part of the process is which requires not so much time, is asking for permission for the conversation, setting the context. So again, as I talked about, let's continuing with the same example of setting my work timings with my supervisor, that let's say after 8 o'clock I will not be available on calls, or after a certain time I'm not going to respond to emails, irrespective of what it is. So if I want to set this kind of a boundary with my supervisor, so setting the context is that sending an email to my supervisor that I would like to talk to you, if you're comfortable, call them up or speak to them on the Zoom call, that I'd like to speak with you about my work timings. Set the context, dedicate a time, ask them what time are they free. And then if we were in a physically same location, if it's the office, I would recommend that you go find a space where you can sit down and talk, a meeting room or something like that, or you requested for time, you be there. But in these times, a Zoom call would be better. A face-to-face is always better. But if a face-to-face is not possible, pick up a phone, ask for a time and call the supervisor up at that point in time. So we've talked about two steps. First is preparation, and an important critical part of the preparation is having a positive mindset. Second part is setting the context and asking for permission. The third part is the action itself, the conversation itself. Uh, we start with stating the facts that that telling them that I have this challenge at home, that after 8 o'clock I need to tend to my children, or after 7 o'clock I have this thing. And in the last 2 days, or last Thursday and last Tuesday, you had called me post 8, which becomes difficult for me. Now, the important thing here again is to remember, let's not generalize things. Let's not use the word, you always call me up after 8 o'clock, or you never appreciate my boundaries. So if we keep, it's critical to keep these words always and never, or any other judgmental words, like any other words which are which donates that we are being judgmental about the other person, or which are judgmental, like you're selfish, you don't listen, you don't care about me. So these are very, very strong words, and these will work against you, because this will evoke a lot of emotions in the other person. Instead, say that, state the facts that 2 times, last Thursday and last Tuesday, it's good to go with data, you had called me up. Now, he may have done it even before that, so let's not go back to that. Let's stick to something recent past, which probably he or she does remember as of now. So when you state the fact that this is what happened, now the caveat, now what happens is, sometimes when it's very emotionally charged, this thing, what happens is, there may be emotions coming up for you. What do you do if those emotions are coming up? Very easy. Breathe. The belly breathing, deep breathing. You breathe. It's okay to pause over there. It's okay to be silent over there. It's all right if both of you don't speak. It's okay to ask for permission. Give me a moment. Let me control my emotion. So if your emotions are coming up, breathe. If the other person's emotions are coming up and they start bombarding you with, because typically in a difficult conversation, there's a lot of blame which comes up. You did this and this, that, you didn't complete your job, and I called you up because this, the supervisor is defending themselves as that you didn't do the job, so I called you up, or you did not put up a commitment, you did not maintain your commitment, or I had pressure from my supervisor, and there were deliverables which we had to give it to our clients and all that. So fair enough, allow the other person to speak. Listen and listen. Even if what he or she is saying, even if what they are saying is not right, or there is some element of error in that, doesn't matter. Zip. Allow them to speak, and tell them, in your own words, you can say them, yes, sure, let's discuss this a little later. Can we discuss about my timings, about my boundaries, and how can we look at maintaining the boundaries? So if there's anything you want from me, I will commit to do it. This is how I would do it. I can come back, look at how we can collaborate to come to that conclusion. So your supervisor has some issues with you, fair enough. I'm willing to take that commitment. So, what do you say? Absolutely, listening becomes very critical. Quiet. So what I say, if you're going high on emotion, breathe. If the other person is going high on emotion, you breathe. You can't ask the other person to go, okay, take a breath, but you breathe again. Listen and allow them to vent out whatever anger they want to. Avoid the temptation to interrupt, because there will be some things, because there's emotionally charged other person, there would be a tendency for them to say something which is not all right, which is maybe information which maybe, oh, something that you did not the last Thursday but the Thursday before that, and the supervisor is bringing it up now, but last Thursday it's not true. It's all right, allow them to speak. I mean, allow them to be wrong, that's fine. Listen, they're emotionally charged, so breathe and allow them to speak. And once you've put forth what is your expectations, you can ask for the other person's expectation. To achieve this, what do you expect me to do? And after your conversation is over, thank the other person. It's a good idea to rephrase the conversation, thank the other person. So again, coming back to the steps: preparation, and within preparation, writing down what you want, what is your expectations, what do you want to achieve out of this conversation, and remaining positive. The step 2 is that asking for permission. Don't start a conversations just like that. Ask for permission, take the time. Taking time also ensures that the other person knows that this conversation is important for you. Step 3 is state the facts. Facts are important. Avoid the temptation to be judgmental. Avoid the temptation to interrupt the other person. If you're feeling emotionally charged, breathe. You can ask your supervisor that right now I'm emotionally a little bit, can we continue the conversation a little later? Then also, if the other person is getting emotionally charged, listen. Allow them to say, all right, just because you're empathetic over there doesn't mean that you're acknowledging or agreeing to whatever that person is saying. It just means that you're willing to listen. And then finally, tell them that this is what your expectation is, that 8 o'clock, it really becomes difficult for you to take the calls. So you would like to put your boundaries there. And finally is the closure. Thank them and reiterate this is the agreement. Now, this is one of the difficult conversations that I've talked about in terms of COVID times. The other conversations could be around your colleague has downloaded all his or her work on you because your colleague is a good friend, and he or she has actually, the other person has actually a lot of personal commitment they need to do. So they, because of your nicety, they keep transferring a lot of their work to you. So how do you tell them about it? So in that case, perhaps it's a good idea to break it up in 2-3 ways, and rather than directly getting confrontational that you've been given a lot of work to me and it's becoming difficult for me to do, it is better to refuse some work, not just directly the whole thing, but at some point say, I would like to do it and I've done it in the past, but today I'm not today I have my own work, so I'll not be able to do this. So that's one ways to handle it. At home, how do we set our boundaries about work? One of the good things is communicating physically. When I get up in the morning, get ready, the way I get ready when I actually go out to work get ready already communicates a lot of boundaries to my people. So if I used to leave for work at 9, or if I want to start my work at 9, by the time, by 9 o'clock, if I, complete my whatever chores are assigned to me, whatever I have to do, take a shower, come to my workplace, that itself is communicating a lot of things. If there is a lot of distractions which are coming up when we are talking on our Zoom calls, or a lot of other or any other things, so how do I communicate to my family member that I need support, I need this support, and how do I set those boundaries? Is that telling them that this is important for me, and it's while I am at home, so whatever you want me to do, give them an option. Whatever you want me to do, can you tell me a day before, so that I finish it by 9 o'clock? I'll hand it over to you. I'm willing to do. Let's collaborate. Let's see how we can do this together. Once we do that, we are setting our own boundaries. Now, COVID times are absolutely different. What is different is one is that all of us are really, really going through emotions we don't know. So, how do we acknowledge each person's emotions? Uh, the other thing is that we are all coping up with some kind of stress. Each one of us is coping up somehow. Some of us are missing our social life. Some of us are missing our office life and the water cooler conversations. Some of us who are back to office are worried about our children at home because all children are homeschooling now. Who will manage them? How will they this thing? So all of us have different emotions that are running in our mind, different stresses which are there, irrespective of who we are. If we have elders at home, if we have or we don't have domestic help at home, we are trying to cope up, and all of us have different ways of coping up. We have to acknowledge that. So just because my supervisor has small children, I cannot assume that and I have small children too, so I can't assume that my supervisor will know what my challenges are, irrespective of gender, irrespective of what I am or what the person is. So each one of us are coping the situation differently. So it's important to communicate my boundaries. It's important to communicate what's important for me. So drop all the assumptions and start making those conversations. And difficult conversations are always difficult. Some conversations we may want to avoid. Just like I said, a friend downloads a lot of work on me, so I don't want to confront that friend and tell them, or I'm talking about a work friend, so I don't want to confront that friend and say, oh, you're downloading too much of work on me, because I don't want to lose that relationship. But at the same time, over a period of time, or slowly, be able to say no when the work is getting downloaded, do part of it and don't do part of it, and communicate that okay, I'm overloaded, so I won't be able to do it. Fair enough. So the other person will, over a period of time, understand. And communicating boundaries at home, I need to communicate that, because if I'm working at a certain time, then people around me should know that I should not be distracted. I should, and people should, they should be taken care. This time is also a very, very good opportunity for us to build those relationships. So some relationships, since I already said about the word, it's humanized our colleagues. So it's a good time to build those relationships, build those bridges which were there. Getting into conversations can also help us in that sense. Two words which are important in this case: respect, compassion. Respect, when I say respect, I mean self-respect and respect for the other person. Compassion, self-compassion, and compassion for the other person. These are something, if we keep in our mind, any difficult conversation would become not so difficult, and we would be able to do it. Difficult conversations are always, are always burdens on our mind, which should be, which impact all our other workings. So once we get that out, if my supervisor is calling me up after 8 p.m. and I'm not comfortable taking it, now unless I speak to him or her or speak to them, it becomes very, very difficult for it. I mean, I can't assume that the other person should know. Work timings, boundaries. Now, while I talk about timing boundaries here, there are a lot of other boundaries which we can fit in over here. We talk about emotional boundaries. We talk about our, what is it that I don't like, something other person says. It could be some joke against my community. It can be a joke against, being a woman. If somebody talks about, tells me, you're a feminist, so you look like that. So, how do I tell that person that, when the other person calls me continuously a feminist, it's not a convenient, it's not something that I take it very easily. I may call myself a feminist, but in every conversation, if that's brought up and everything is colored by that, that becomes a conversation that I need to address. And yes, so difficult conversations are difficult, and unless we do, being in our comfort zone, we cannot address the difficult conversations. The moment we challenge ourselves and get into those conversations, we are building better relationships. We are building better communication strategies, and we are better individuals. So it's always good to go in for difficult conversation. Repeating what I said, 4 steps. Preparation is talking about what do I want, and what do I want at the end of it, and visualizing a positive outcome. Step 2 is asking for permission. Step 3 is getting into the conversation, telling them what they want, and keeping a check on the emotion. And step 4 is thanking the other person. So whether the outcome is not in your favor or not something that you wanted, but if you're able to reach something, thank the person. Maybe I'll have another conversation to get what I want, but thank them in this conversation. So that's about from me now. Hi Nina, thank you so much for your encouragement. Hi Vanita, long time. Yeah, so any questions, anyone? All right, so no questions, and we've 26 minutes into the session. So thank you very much for joining. Any questions, please write down. Look forward to your comments in the comment box. Thank you so much for joining us. Be safe, be healthy. Thank you.